Let's talk about Teams. So in this session, we're going to talk a bit about MDEP. So what is MDEP?
Yeah. What does it stand for, Carsten? Because you're the one that has...
We needed to read up on it.
We were on vacation and Carsten was, I need to find this, right?
I need to, exactly. Yeah. Microsoft's device platform, ecosystem platform. So, I hate those embarrasses but what it is, it's actually really, really awesome.
I would say it's just Microsoft Android version.
Yeah. But I hate them.
Not completely,
but for just regular people to understand, it's just an OS of Microsoft. But there's so much more in it because I mean, historically we have had the Android devices and nice devices and so on. But I don't know how many times I've been sitting with security people. We don't want Android. We don't. That's a bad platform in our system, and especially when we're talking about version 9, 10, or whatever. I mean, it's legacy, and it's just been uphill. But what's happened is that Microsoft have taken the core of the Android OS and then build their own on top of it, which means that it's, as you're saying, a Microsoft Android platform. It's still Android, but all security functions and so on put on top of it. It means that Microsoft now have the device and also have the OS, like we know from Windows. So that makes it so much easier to make security things.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the points from an end customer perspective is like if you use, if there's a manufacturer that use MDEP, then it's only one place that you can call and that's an issue, then it'll be on Microsoft. I think that's one of the positive parts of using MDEP.
So nobody's pointing fingers at each other, right? So it's only Microsoft now.
Yeah.
And I see it, I mean, it's not a secret. We have a manufacturer, I'm a consultant, so I mean we see stuff from different things.
And then I also think it's important to understand that each and every manufacturer, it's not mandatory from Microsoft's side.
No,
at least not yet. It might be in the future, but there are several manufacturers that have their own Android platform, build their own operating system on top of it. And I think that's one of the pain points for Microsoft since they opened for that many vendors to build Android Teams rooms. So I think that with all the issues they're seeing providing and supporting several platforms, I think that's why they actually started to build their own.
I mean, in good old day, what did we have? 4 or 5 manufacturers when we started up. It was easier and everybody well-known brands.
Now we have, 8, 9, 10?
11, minimum. I think we just have a bunch of them. And that's fine. I mean, it just makes different unique products and so on. So, and it's a different discussion, but it just makes more difficult to control what are being done on it. So
and I think it's also important to understand that MDEP, that is not a Teams thing.
No,
that is a Microsoft thing.
That's an OS, right?
Yeah.
It's basically an OS for a meeting room device.
I hear Zoom people actually are embracing that one because they have. I mean, they have the same problem. I mean, it's still an Android. We'll just put a Zoom application on top, like Microsoft are doing. So I mean, and again, Zoom is not an authenticator and so on and all, like we know from Microsoft and MDM operation and all that's nice stuff. So I mean, MDEP is really something I'm a big fan of it.
Yeah,
I know that as you're saying that manufacturers are creating their own and they can put some stuff on top of it, drivers and all that stuff. But again, from a custom point of view, I don't care, fix it, that's your problem. we want this one. Then we begin to have reporting in from security things. When we have alarms and something is trying to attack our company, all our devices are aware of it.
I see it in a way like we have the MTR on Windows. Now we will have MTR on Windows on Android in a kind of way. So Microsoft is controlling everything. They're building the drivers for the equipment we hook onto the MDEP platform. If you will be able to do this in the future, I don't know, but that's just from basic perspective.
That would be a scary thought if we have 3 now. We have Windows, we have Microsoft's Android, and then we have the other Androids. That will make a different...
I think it will be like that. I mean, at least for a couple of years, it might be in the future that Microsoft require new team certification needs to be on that MDEP. But then again, from my perspective, and the thing when I started to talk with Microsoft about it was with MDEP, and they talked about it's an open platform, it's not only Teams. You can also build an MDEP device that runs Zoom. But then again, I was thinking about from the customer's perspective, how do they update the MDEP version? Would that be through
Intune?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, because you
then
register.
It makes sense, yeah.
Because you go in and register it with Intune, so that would be an SOP. But
that's another thing. That's the next session.
Watch out.
Yeah, but I can see it from both ways, to be honest. I mean, in my dream world, I will have a manufacturer where I got the device, I unpack it, and of course it should be automatic and all that stuff, but I have the option to say, okay, what do I want to run on this device? Do I run your native Android where you can do all your fancy stuff and I know what I'm starting up with? Or do I want an Android then MDEP enable? I mean, we can change different firmware on it, we can change everything on it, so I don't see it as an option. I know there's a lot of many developers hours on it, but that would be a dream scenario. So, I mean, for manufacturers, it's expensive to have
a
different
development department to develop an Android software for the system, right? Rather than just take the MDEP and make the hardware work with the.
And I can see for some it makes sense because you're putting other stuff on top of it. And without really being a dev guy, I could see that MDEP is probably more difficult to squeeze and turn around. And there are probably...
and I think that's the major thing right now. When we look at the manufacturers that said we are going to support MDEP, they have an easier path to go to the market because Microsoft built their OS, at least some of it. And I think from the other perspective is that which kind of limitations are there on MDEP? In case that we want to build something unique, what can we actually add to MDEP? And I think that's where I see the limitation with MDEP. And then of course that might only be 10% of the rooms that need some additional features that the manufacturer itself builds.
I mean, do you want some HDMI ingest that are doing some different casting or something like that? That could probably be difficult to build into an MDEP because you need a component on top of it.
The control of the cameras, flip paging, some manufacturing. There's some stuff that will be for the manufacturing side, but do you need it in all the rooms? I doubt it, but in some rooms it would be nice features, etc. And maybe it will. I haven't looked at the code. Probably you haven't either. But there could be something.
What else to do Saturday evening?
There could be something that they already prepared for this multi-stream, etc. So you, as a manufacturer, just took in. Okay, you make the camera streams on the device, and you just took it into the different MDEP lines in the code, etc. Right. So I think.
Yeah. But I think it's back to each and every manufacturer say, do we want to have full control of the operating system? We handle everything, or do we want to hand something over to Microsoft and then have the benefits and the cons about that?
And I think you're hitting spot on there where you're talking about, because again, we were mentioning there's a lot of different manufacturers right now.
Yeah.
And do you trust them? I think it's easier to be one of the smaller manufacturers who can say, I have the MDEP OS, that's what I'm putting on. And then some of the major ones like HP and so on, they will have the option to say, well, we got so much engineering power that we can have the security part and still build it in and so on. And the customer is still saying, okay, we trust, I mean, our PC might even be from HP as well. So manufacturers like that, I think it will make perfect sense that they have the option to play around with it.
Yeah.
But for a customer, I would love the idea that say, I have the option on that device. It will be a check mark, or it will be a drop-down list, or it will be something when I started up first time, what Android version do you want? I want that one because that's what the customer wants. And then again, that will be the dream scenario for me because it will stop a lot of security discussions.
And I think from our perspective, it sounds easy, but with my knowledge around Android and upgrading,
I know that is.
That will not gonna happen.
No, I was in the dream world.
Okay, but the time is getting closer, so let's wrap this one up. This was around MDEP. Should you go with it or shouldn't you go with it? I think it's more about just be conscious, get into the understanding, and so it's a new thing that we need to consider when equipping new meeting rooms. And with that said, this was Let's Talk About Teams. Thank you so much for watching.